Hello and welcome to TMA Corner. I am April Chadwick
I'm Diane Gertis.
and we are with the Mortgage Advantage. How are you today, Diane?
I am well. How about you?
I am fantastic. Just an homage for you guys to know that we are in Phoenix, Arizona. And if anyone knows me, I'm a fan of my hoodies. Today's the last day. I think I'm able to wear it for about 6 months. So I thought I'd give a little shout out because now we went from 60 degrees a day to 92.
Yep.
And that's where we're at.
And
So
I'd like to do a quick shout out to Denise Pius because she is doing much better. She had kind of a rocky week last week. For all those who joining us, she was her boyfriend went back east and came back home, and although he tested negative when he got on a flight, he actually had COVID, and she got a really bad case of it. She's vegan, not overweight, beautiful, early 50s, and was in the hospital for 5 days. So she has now had it almost 3 weeks, I think, maybe even longer. So she's on her road to the recovery. So our thoughts are with her.
Ray, be careful out there. It's a
Be
jungle
careful out there. Yeah, it is. Be careful out
out there. So today, as Diane and I were talking, like what kind of to go over today, and for what I do, and I think most of you guys know, I do accountability coaching, and I feel that my job with accountability coaching is to guide agents, number one, into where they're struggling or what they need to increase their business, but also for me to be someone that they come to someone that knows the trends, knows the market, is able to look at the market and guide them as to how to redirect their goals or redirect how they do their business. So a couple of things just for us, once again, in Arizona, we're in a completely different market than a lot of the United States. Don't get me wrong. There are some places in the United States that are just as hot as we are. Well, pun, not as hot necessarily, but the market. So just an example, one of the cities in Arizona that's, we call it the East Valley is Chandler. And all of the East Valley, what we have right now in Arizona is a supply issue. We have a big, big supply issue. In fact, for our supply to hit our demand at the rate, we would need 7 times more of the supply than what we have right now, just to make it an advantageous market for buyers.
And I'm going to interrupt because I remember last year, BC before COVID, that Mike and I were driving around and saw all these apartments multifamilies being built. And we're like, who's going to be living in all those apartments? They are all completely full. I can't believe it.
Right? Oh, along the canal and everything. That's the same thing. Like, who's living in apartments these days? Well, and actually, Diane, you sent an article from the Wall Street Journal to me, and that we went over, and it was saying that it read that we in the United States have more real estate agents than actual available properties in the United States. And the number of available properties or supply is the lowest it's been since 1982. Now, I wasn't alive in 1982, but no, I was kidding. But what is one thing that you mentioned to me, Mom, about 1982 that's different than now?
Yeah, in 1982, I think the reason that the supply was low is that the interest rates, believe it or not, I know all of us that grew up on 2s and 3s were at 16%, maybe at one point it got to 18%. And that is why the supply was so low, because nobody was out buying homes at 16% interest rates. Even though the property values were less, people were still buying homes that were 100,000. Can you imagine the difference in the payment? A lot of people could not afford to purchase.
Absolutely. So just to look, we're in uncharted waters right now. I mean, obviously our populations have grown in the past 40 years, all of the different factors that are going, but we're still no supply. So just an example, talking about Chandler. So I met with their economic development department, and Chandler, a city here, their permits for the year, okay, these include subdivision lots, and also undeveloped lots. That's in Chandler. We're around 5,800 permits to build this year. However, which is great, 5,800 homes in Chandler. But if you looked at the number of jobs coming into Chandler this year, any guesses? Over 14,000 jobs.
Oh.
So that's, I mean, more than double the jobs of how many homes are even slotted to be built. So that's just giving you a snippet of an idea. And other towns and other cities in Arizona are somewhat similar. Either, well, some of them don't even have as many plot or permits, but just as many jobs coming in. So like I was saying, that the 4-1 forecast is we need over 7 times the supply than what we have just to get it back to where we're in a somewhat advantageous buyer's market. And you want to know one interesting thing, and this is with Chandler, I'm not sure the other cities, but also, do you want to know how many retail permits they have for new retail permits to be built? 0, not one.
Oh, wow.
So that's definitely, I think a side effect or something definitely of COVID or what we went through last year, obviously with all those retail spaces being available. And I would say, I think, Diane, I don't know if you've heard this, but a lot of agents I work with, one of the biggest things that they hear from either their buyers or their sellers is, you know what, I'm just going to hold on. The bubble's about to pop. The bubble's about to pop. And for all of us that have been in the business, and Diane, if you want to go over it real quick before I go into that, but what would you say that they mean by a bubble popping? The bubble's going to burst.
Or they think it's like it was in 2005, 6, 7, where there was just the market crashed. People, it was a housing frenzy. But you and I were loan officers during that time, and there was no shortage of homes. There
Right.
was a lot of them. There were new builds. People were buying. You could find another one. There was not a shortage of homes. And what did happen though, that was a bank induced crash,
Right.
because the mortgage companies allowed anybody, there was a, here's a mirror. Can they breathe? They can get a loan.
Well,
Now, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to go into that, but go ahead. You can finish your
Yeah.
thought.
But anyway, so therefore, this is not anywhere near, there's no comparison to that time to now. So go ahead.
No, and it's completely right. And I think a lot of people keep saying foreclosure. Oh, there's going to be foreclosures coming up. And just like, I'm going to try to put it into little bullet points as to what we're going through right now. But just on a side note, just to get started on that, in the past 8 months in Arizona, the sales prices have increased 26%. 26% in 8 months. Originally, the Cromford reports, what some people use, there's other ones, but their projection was that we were going to have a 30% appreciation increase in 2021. And right now we're at 40% appreciation.
Wow. Holy moly.
I know, just so,
Yeah.
but just to let you guys know, so as Diane, working through it, just to put it in bullet points, what the difference is and what that means, how that bubble happened before and why it won't happen now is how it started was the active listings were rising between April of 05 to December of 06. And the active listings were increasing because there was overbuilding due to the speculation of the wave that we had in 2004. In 2004, we did have a wave of people moving here. Well, what the market did is all of these new builds started and we just had an influx of properties. So then what happened is when you have more properties, so more supply than demand, the prices went down. So that decreases the value. And so the prices started to decrease by July of 06 because the supply was much stronger than the demand. Well, then, so you get the fall in the prices. So if you have a fall in the prices, what does that mean? That means your home is worth less than what it used to. And then the fall in the prices basically meant that homeowners had zero or little equity in their home. And like kind of what Diane is going into now, a bank issue. So what happened was nobody had appreciation or interest in their home or equity if they were issued with their job or they were on an interest only loan or if they were on an ARM. No one could refinance, right? Because what do we need? We need to have equity in our home to be able to refinance. So the fall in the prices, people couldn't refi or afford their mortgage. So what starts to happen? Foreclosures. And then a huge amount of the bank-owned properties, foreclosures, or people start to learn to short sell, started to hit the market. So that's even more of a problem with the supply. And how we got out of it was actually, so then we have an influx of all these distressed properties, foreclosed properties, short sales. which, just a side note, we are not going through that right now. No one's foreclosing. Why? Because, knock on wood, for the most part, everyone has equity in their home. Everyone does have the ability to somewhat refinance.
Back then, the banks would give you 100% financing for investors. There were so many investors or people who wanted to be investors, and they would buy new builds or properties 100%. The other is if you had an appraisal that came in low, no problem. You would just get another appraisal till you got to the sales price that you wanted. The times then it has after the Dodd-Frank Act, they have implemented guidelines that as lenders we are forced to follow in order not to have that happen again. Unfortunately, that's what made during the Great Recession, as they call it, what was so sad is that instead of the banks taking the hit for it, they allowed the homeowners to take the hit. Homeowners didn't know. They were glad to get into a home, put nothing down. And then when the times got tough, people lost their jobs, they couldn't make the payments. But
Right.
there was no equity. Most people, very few people put a lot of money down in a home. Most of them were 100%. I would not say most of them, but a good majority of them were 100% financing. That is not the case anymore.
Right. Right. And once again, we have the appreciation. I mean, and even look on your end. You obviously as a lender get notified when someone's going through the foreclosure process. And how long would you say that's been?
And that is the other. Thank you for bringing that up. We have had very few forbearances or foreclosures because I get people saying, well, we're going to wait for these people who are going in foreclosures. Well, the difference this time is that the banks are working with the people to try to get them to keep their homes. They can't show them as late. And I had one client who missed 4 payments last in 2020, and we were able to refinance him the 1st of January.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, so you weren't allowed to do that before. You were late, missed one. It was strictly the banks were greedy little jerks. They weren't little; they're big, like big old fat problem like ogres. They've again a lot of they're not. It's not even comparable.
Right. Well, and just another side note on that, talking about having the appreciation and then going into just another example of how our supply and demand are different. I was in a broker meeting today, and one of the issues that we're coming into now is in real estate is, and I think I already gave this kind of little quiz to Diane, but talking about normally in real estate, which side of the transaction has an easier time getting out of the transaction, the buyer or the seller?
I know.
So, and for the most part, it's the buyer. You have the inspection period, you have this, you have that, you have an easier way to get out of the transaction where the sellers do not. And just another note to add to our supply issue, that one of the issues we're running into in Arizona is that now a seller is trying to get out of the transaction because he or she could not find another place to live. So here are all these people that, hey, oh, wow, I'm going to make $100,000 off my house or whatever the price may be. I'm going to list it. That sounds great, but guess what you have to do? Find a place to live. And if it's in Arizona, it's not that easy. So there's a buyer contingency that's a part of the sales contract, real estate contract. And now they're doing a seller contingency, meaning like if I can't find, this is contingent on me finding a home, which has not been used in Arizona and they can't even say how long. So kind of crazy. And I know, Diane, you deal with a lot of agents. Obviously, every day you work with them doing the loans, understanding you're seeing everybody's story. You get to hear all these great stories of how people actually got their contract accepted. And as you and I were talking about, and I would say my biggest piece of advice to agents or anything to help agents with is that you need to stay connected. This market is literally changing every day. And we've gotten lazy in Arizona. I mean, honestly, please, if I offend any meteorologist, please don't take it out on me. But being an agent lately in Arizona is kind of like being a meteorologist. It's always sunny. It's always good weather. It's always sunny. In real estate, we've had a strong market for at least 14 years. Okay, let's say 12 years. 12 years. I mean, at least after the market.
One time, yeah.
12 years. So we've, there's stuff. So it's different. You've got to stay connected. If you belong to a mastermind, get back into it. If you go to broker meetings, get back into it. If you're in a networking group, you need to get back into it, because you are not doing any justice to your clients, to your friends or family, if you are not aware how to write an offer in this market, or how to even go about the whole business. So I think it's imperative that you stay connected and know what's going on in this market. What would you say, Diane?
I think that is so true. And so many of the contracts that we have now are all due to the connections that the realtors had. And the other, as far as being a lender, I have to answer my phone all the time, much to my kids getting upset, or my husband, because if a agent calls me at night, I need to be able to pick up the phone if they're asking me about the client. How strong is this client? What if not? Then they're not going to accept the contract. But to give you a scenario that really connects, is that right now I am in the midst of a transaction that we got delayed on the appraisal. The home inspection did not go well. There were several repairs, and it was one of those that you had to get the repairs done before we could order the appraisal. Well, the seller was really nice, and even this, and then all of a sudden they flipped. They didn't take their meds, the seller and the listing agent, and they started threatening that if we did not close by a certain date, then they were going to cancel the transaction. The reason for that, they had someone walk up to them and say, I'll give you 50,000 over whatever they are offering. So they are not wanting us to close on this house. And part of the delay is for them because of the repairs. So this is one thing of it. The other is, the reason why I'm bringing this up, these two items together, is that I have a contract that I got last week. And for instance, it said the contract is for $520,000. Okay. And it says that if you, the buyer agrees to pay $25,000 over appraised value, but nothing else is there.
No end?
No end. So if that appraisal comes in at 519, according to the contract, they're going to have to pay $25,000 more. So I pointed this out to the seller's agent, who's very nice. But what she said to me is, oh no, the seller is so nice. He really likes me. And he liked my clients because he met them. Well, he may, until someone knocks on his door and says, hey, I want to give you 100,000 over. And you think I'm exaggerating? I am not.
Yeah, this market. And then also then if what if that appraisal comes in at sales price, but they're offering 25,000 over?
I can't tell them how to do that. And that's exactly how it reads. I even showed it to several people in my office just to make sure that I wasn't, and I brought it to her attention. She wasn't getting it. She did not. I even asked her to call her broker, which she has not done. So just saying, it may all work out fine. Maybe the seller is nice and nothing's going to happen. But, I just want to bring this up. Oh, that's why we have contracts. Oh yeah, that's right. The contract. So that is something that it follows. They can't just decide. We're dealing with people. People change their minds every day.
And this is what do we say? It's one of the most emotional businesses ever.
Yeah.
This is where people are living. It's their biggest investment. So it's just, and any agents out there, I know a lot of them. I was talking, we were talking on Tuesday.
Aren't you an agent? Yeah, you're an agent.
I am an agent, actually. But we're talking and oh, when's this market, and dealing with buyers and all this. But it is going to be frustrating. And the biggest thing you can do, and that's what you should be, is a master of your profession. And you should be mastering real estate and not putting your buyers up for failure. So
and mastering the contract.
Right.
I'm the world's worst person to be, talking about being precise and doing contracts. But that's what it's just like me with my good faith, and I won't call it, but my lender summaries that I send out on every transaction. That has saved me. I say, well, here, this shows you what your payment is, how much you're expected to come in with, and the itemized list. Oh, okay. Well, if I did that, the contract is what saves. That's what protects not only your buyers, your sellers, but the agents themselves.
Correct. Agreed.
Agreed.
Is there anything else you have to add to this crazy end of March 2021? We made it. Woohoo!
And thank you for getting together all those statistics. I look forward to hearing about, I know you're looking at other cities like Mesa and Tempe and Queen Creek to also show the statistics of, and the slides that you had that regarding the number of businesses that are coming in, not only monthly, but annually is
Right.
the amount of people coming in is amazing. Amazing for our economy, but kind of like, oh my God, we're going to have to build tiny houses, I guess, or something. So
Hot air balloons, they're gonna have to go up. I don't
yeah,
really know where people are going. So,
who knows where all this is going to take us. So
but well, and
every-
thank you. Thank you. And obviously, please subscribe to our channel if you want our updates. If you are an agent, especially in Arizona area, if you are looking for a mastermind to belong to, if you're looking for a group, well, not that kind of group. Well, if you're looking for any group, I'll help you. That's what I do. But if you need any help or want to get plugged in, please feel free to call me anytime. My name is April and I'm at 602-740-5319. And obviously, if you need any help with lending, refinance, lending, what you need to do, the ins and outs, if you just want to talk to someone fabulous, call Diane. And what's your phone number, Diane?
480-235-5667, 480-235-5667. And I'm not fabulous, but thank you.
I think you are. Well, you guys have a great day and actually start to wear your sunscreen. You should be wearing it all the time anyway, but we're getting hot here. So have a great week.
Thank you, April.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.